So, what are the things do you need to consider when choosing the right solicitor for your property purchase? In this video, I want to share with you what are the things that you need to look out for when choosing the right solicitor. Hi, my name is Collins Isaiah. I'm the founder of Procured Property, a fast-growing property investment company that helps busy working professionals invest in property across England. So buying and selling a property in any circumstances is extremely challenging in itself. Not to mention if you add the current position that we're in, especially with the stamp duty extension, right now you might be going through an extremely stressful life event. And for pretty much every solicitor in the country, they are currently under pressure to meet deadlines and meet targets. So finding the right solicitor at the moment can be super important and beneficial for you as a purchaser or a potential purchaser, because they will ultimately ensure that, of course, you meet the deadlines and expectations of the seller. They typically keep you in the deal and also can lose you a deal if you're a property investor. Now, we've all heard the horrific horror stories from using conveyancers and using solicitors, but ultimately, it's super important before you set out on this transaction, ensure that you've got the right team in place. And in this video, I want to share with you 5 things that you need to look out for and consider when choosing the right solicitor. Because if you find the right solicitor, they'll be a fantastic addition to your team. They'll save you time, save you money, and of course, get you to achieving the specific goals you have when purchasing a property. So, tip number 1, find yourself a dedicated specialist property law firm. The reason why, because if you go with something more generic, what you might find is that you don't get the necessary experience that you get from a dedicated property law firm, because that's what they specialize in and that's what they have dealt with in the past. And when you come across maybe potential issues within a transaction or things that arise that may not be foreseen for most people, they will have the experience and expertise to lean on to advise you and ensure that they're representing you at this full capacity and your best interest. Now, you can go and find yourself a more generic law firm that deals with all things law in that respect. However, like I said, you don't get the added touch of experience and you can't really leverage that if they're more generic. Now, you can find yourself a more generic law firm. However, what we say is that with those type of firms, like I said, they may not have the experience nor the eye when there is a particular scenario or situation within a transaction to advise you correctly or perhaps maybe look out for. So what we say is find yourself a specialist firm that deals with property law. Tip number 2, an obvious tip, however, it's often overlooked if you're making your decision based on price. So the tip is find yourself a trusted firm. Now, the easiest way to do this is, of course, use the review sites that are available to you, such as Trustpilot, Google reviews. You can also use FIFO. And what you want to look out for is how has the solicitor treated the customer throughout the transaction. So I mentioned earlier all about these horror stories where solicitor firms, some solicitors don't pick up your phone when, for example, you're just following up on something, or we're running behind schedule and they avoid your emails. Things like this happen. So you want to pick up on how has the solicitor treated the client, what's the communication like. So find yourself a trusted firm through due diligence and make sure you go through all the reviews of past customers, and do not make your decision purely based on how cheap they are. Tip number 3, find yourself an experienced firm. Like I mentioned, it is, and it sounds very obvious, but it's often overlooked. You want to find yourself a firm that has, of course, been in the industry for many years, because typically the experience that they gather over those years will help you throughout the transaction. Because going through any property transaction, there's so many different intricacies. It is also beneficial of, how many transactions that they've gone through. Of course, if it's up and down the country, it's super useful because they can leverage third-party information, third-party companies and whatever it may be, to ensure that if there's any challenges that arise, they can quite easily overcome that challenge and of course get you to the goal of exchanging and completing on time. So tip number 4, convenience. How convenient is it to deal with your solicitor? So this is something that will save you time and money. So you want to find out before you sign up with the firm and instruct them on your property transaction, you want to find out how easy is it for you to send over identification, how quick will they be in raising searches, title deeds, contracts and transfers, getting all these sort of the admin and paperwork done, how swift and how easy it is to liaise with them. Now, if they are still relying on getting things posted and extremely slow methods, right now there are some things that you need a wet signature for and posted, which is absolutely fine. But if they're quite savvy in terms of technology, they've got a portal where you can upload documents, upload your identification, IDs, passports for anti-money laundering. That's extremely useful because, like I said, the quicker you can get to exchanging and completing, the faster you can get on your journey as a property investor to seeing incredible returns. And lastly, price and costs. So, like I mentioned, the cheapest option out there isn't always or necessarily the best option. What you want to find out is, what are the costs, right? So you want to find a firm that's transparent about the costs up front, because there are some firms that charge extra for various different tasks and things that you ask them to do, such as per email, per cost. And of course, there are some firms out there that offer a fixed rate or guarantee. So, for example, if your sale falls through, you will not be charged. Of course, there is a caveat to that. Depends on who's liable for the reason or the reasons for the property transaction to fall through. However, what you want to find out is how transparent they are. So you want to know exactly what the costs are up front, how much is going to go towards their fee, how much is going to go towards the disbursements. So disbursements are things that the solicitor has to pay for, such as titles, searches, etc. So you want to understand exactly how much it's going to cost you up front so you can make an informed decision. So those are the 5 things that you need to look out for before you instruct any solicitor. I hope you found that of value. Like I mentioned, a solicitor can win you a deal or lose you a deal. They can make you money or lose you money. They can waste your time or gain time back. I hope you found that of use. Please like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow. And of course, we can reach more people, add value to more people's lives. The goal is, like we mentioned, and like what we always say, is for people to invest with confidence and engineer their futures through property investment. Hope you found that of value, and I'll see you in another video.